with the initial change,
Yep.
it's just been, I mean, a frustrating year
Yeah.
with injuries, not just to Caitlin, but obviously to
Yeah.
Caitlin. DB ultimately ends up leaving.
Yep.
And so that, you know, we already talked about how you need time to gel, you need time to build chemistry. So how frustrating has it been that the chemistry
Yeah.
has just, it's like start, stop, start, stop.
Yeah, it's definitely been a struggle. But I think just at the start of the season too, like, you know, you have your start of the season meetings and you're talking. And for us, it was about, listen, like, no matter what happens in the season, it's next woman up. And you have to be ready. And I feel like obviously struggling with injuries, and then, you know, you sign people and then they leave, and it's like, listen, like, whoever is next, be ready to play, because it doesn't matter. Like, the games still keep coming. Like, you still have to be ready to compete. And that's why I was so happy, like, when we signed.
Aliyah Boston just sat down for an interview with Sue Bird. And yes, she spoke about Caitlin Clark in a way that made everyone lean in. We're diving into every sharp remark, every glowing nod, and every moment that whispered keep your hopes grounded. So, what ran through your mind when Aliyah pointed to the weight of sharing the floor with Caitlin?
I mean, it is. Obviously, you never want people to get injured, but
Yeah.
the reality is you have to have that mindset,
Exactly.
and it gives other people opportunity. And
Exactly.
then you hope ultimately you're all better for it
Yes.
when
And
the
then-
injured players come back. But I'm curious, specific to Caitlin being on the floor, off the floor. And I saw you talk on your own podcast about like the spacing
Yeah.
and how different it is. But when you're entering a game, like your mental prep, how does it change? Because it's
Yeah.
two different systems essentially.
It is. Honestly, like, when C is on the floor, I'm like, listen, be ready to run. Be
Yeah.
ready to get out. Be ready because she's looking.
Yeah,
she's
she's
looking.
going.
She wants to play fast.
100%, yeah.
Super early in the offense. And like, we do that too as well here, but I think sometimes too now without her, like, we can get into like a little more half court execution, make the defenses work a little bit harder, first side, second side, third side. And then I think when you have like Kelsey, when Kelsey's playing in transition, get that ball up to her and make
Bouncy.
her
I've never seen
make a
anybody so
decision.
Aliyah Boston's words didn't sound rehearsed. They didn't come across like a polished PR script written by some media staffer. She stepped onto Sue Bird's podcast and simply spoke the truth about what it feels like playing alongside Caitlin Clark. And let's be real, the truth hits way harder than another headline pretending everybody's the best of friends.
So entering year 3 for you, which is this year,
Yep.
as you said, it's a lot of change.
Yes.
You have a coaching change.
Yep.
You have it's a big free agency year for you
Yes.
guys. And really overnight, what that big free agency year was, or big change was expectations change.
Yes.
So you guys went from like this up and coming, where it's like you're getting to know each other, to now it's like, oh, they could win the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was the experience of essentially becoming like, instead of being the hunter, you're now the hunted?
Yeah, it's crazy, but I feel like it was definitely expected. Like, I think number one, like, just last year, everyone, like, when they see our name on the schedule, even though the year before we didn't win, like, we won 13 games or whatever it was, and it was like, okay, well, but then you added in Caitlin, right? And everybody's like, oh, like, they're gonna be this, and this, and now everybody's like, oh, you know what? We're gonna prove you wrong. Like, yeah, hell no, like.
Boston's view cuts deep because she's living it in real time. Clark has been labeled the future of women's basketball, ESPN's latest highlight obsession, and the ratings magnet. That's the kind of noise you can't dodge, whether it's on your phone or echoing through a packed arena. And Boston, she sees it all. She said outright that Caitlin Clark drags in eyes, attention, and towering expectations to every Fever game. But let's slow down. Aliyah Boston isn't some jealous teammate chasing sympathy. She's an all-star on her own, Rookie of the Year in 2023, and the foundation of Indiana before Clark even showed up. Yet the day Caitlin touched down in Indianapolis, everything flipped. Every miss replayed online. Every clumsy possession spun into debate. Every win or loss picked apart like it was the finals.
It's like, yeah, like, they got, for us, we always think like you have to approach every season with like, we're winning this whole season. So that was our mindset. And I think when you look at expectations, once again, expectations come from everyone outside. Because like in our circle, we know exactly what we want to do. We also understand that it's a process. We understand that new faces, new coaches, like different style of play for people joining us. It's like people need time to figure it out once again. But when you do figure it out, it's going to be scary. And I feel like that's what it was for us, and that was our approach. And we're still like, listen, we are coming here to win this thing. Like, that's what it is, and that's not going to change no matter what.
And that's where Boston's honesty slices through. On Sue Bird's podcast, she revealed the pressure wasn't just Clark's to bear. It spread across the whole roster. Because if Clark is painted as the savior, what happens the moment the team stumbles? Fingers start pointing, and teammates like Boston end up carrying that heavy weight too.
We signed Ari.
Yeah.
I felt like that was like amazing for us because obviously we couldn't predict C being out for this long at least. And so it's like having someone in that runs the point well, can call her own number, I think honestly has been like our biggest blessing. Obviously now with Bibbs, like she's coming in, she's able to stretch the floor. It's like, I think no matter what, everything is for a reason, right? And that's kind of our focus is, listen, like whatever happens, happens, but whoever is here in our circle, listen, like we're here to hoop.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to play. And so I feel like that's just been our approach. Like it hasn't been perfect. There's definitely been injuries here and there.
She reminded everyone that she and Clark had never shared the floor before this season. Yet somehow, the outside world demanded instant perfection. It was as if critics believed Boston should already know Clark's rhythm, her timing, her vision, without ever logging months together on the court. Boston put it plainly, we weren't given that grace period of like getting to play with someone you've never played with. That single line said everything. Think about it. When LeBron James teamed up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami, it took nearly a full season before the chemistry clicked. But in the WNBA, with Caitlin Clark, expectations were flipped upside down. Fans acted like if the Fever weren't playoff ready from day one, then Boston and the rest were falling short. You could sense her frustration with that narrative, even though she delivered it calmly. No rant, no finger pointing, just the truth that this team was learning, and outsiders weren't giving them the space to actually grow. And that level of maturity speaks volumes, especially from someone who's only 23.
She is moving, she's making the right read, and it's like, listen, and she's scoring the ball at a very high level. And so I think, it's a little bit both, like once again, like when she's on the floor, like she's looking to get up, people can be like, listen, I don't need to outlet because I know once we rebound, we're getting it up. But I also think it, once again, it's like puts people on their toes because they're like, whoa, I need to find Kelsey in transition. I need to find Ari now. Like we got to find Sophie and Lexi knocking down threes. Like it's different, but I think everyone is once again finding their own rhythm, and that we just did a great job.
The conversation soon shifted to how her chemistry with Clark has grown. Boston admitted the early months were tougher than anyone expected. There were passes she couldn't handle in time, plays where she didn't catch Clark's intent quickly enough, and of course, social media did its thing. Clip a bad possession, throw on a sarcastic caption, and suddenly it's proof the Fever can't work together. But here's the thing, Boston never denied the struggles. Instead, she explained them. She said as the season moved forward, she began to catch Clark's rhythm. She noticed the direction of her eyes. She learned to sense a pass before any words were spoken. That's how chemistry is built in basketball, not magic, just endless representatives. Boston even gave a striking example. She described how after enough games with Caitlin, you don't need her to shout cut or screen or call for the ball. You just read the way she tilts her head, the angle of her feet, and suddenly Boston knows the pass is coming her way. That's when the Fever began to look like a connected team. And honestly, it's almost funny that people thought this would happen overnight. Did fans expect Boston to instantly be Clark's perfect pick-and-roll partner after a single practice? Did they think every lob would be highlight material from day one? Sports don't work like that. Chemistry is messy, full of mistakes, and Boston's explanation on Sue Bird's show proved she understood the process. But let's not pretend it was easy. Boston has had to deal with trolls. On that same podcast, she admitted people tweeted that she's the worst big they've ever seen. Think about how ridiculous that is. She's a #1 draft pick, rookie of the year, an all-star, yet some couch critic on Twitter feels qualified to call her trash. Boston said she already puts heavy pressure on herself, so hearing that nonsense is draining. And she's right. You can tell accountability doesn't bother her. She admitted when things with Clark weren't smooth, but she also made it clear that fans demanding instant perfection have no clue. And honestly, they don't. Building timing between a guard and a post takes hundreds of possessions, hours of film, and plenty of trust. The bright side is Boston also praised Clark. This wasn't jealousy. She spoke about Caitlyn's passing with real respect. She called her a phenomenal passer. She said once she catches Clark's eyes, she instantly knows where to move. That's not downplaying, it's embracing Clark's skill, even while asking fans to relax with the unfair criticism. What makes it fascinating is the way Boston framed it all. She didn't just focus on Clark as a star. She tied it to the entire Fever team. She reminded listeners the pressure isn't on one person, it spreads across the whole roster. And that's what most outsiders forget. When one player carries superstar hype, the whole team gets pulled into the spotlight. Sue Bird, being the sharp interviewer she is, kept pressing about Clark. And Boston never flinched. She didn't fall back on cliches like, we're just focused on the next game. Instead, she gave layered, thoughtful answers that revealed just how challenging and how rewarding this partnership has been.
Yeah,
No
what
matter
is it
what.
about them that they're doing that?
It's just the best sports scene. Like I don't know any other way to put it, but when it comes to us, when it comes to the Pacers, when it comes to sports in general, they show up and they're loud.
Yeah, no, being there definitely was just like a palpable vibe.
Yeah.
To like the whole city. I love that the city's kind of on the smaller side, so everything was convenient. You
Yes.
could like get around. But yeah, the fans really showed.
Boston pointed out she sees the value in Clark's presence. Extra eyes on the Fever mean more visibility for everyone on the roster. It means the league wins. It means women's basketball keeps growing. But it also means mistakes get magnified and learning curves go ignored. That's the double-edged sword of playing with a generational talent. And here's the kicker. Boston never sounded bitter. She sounded energized. She basically said, yeah, the attention is heavy, but that's part of the job now. That's what makes her different. Most players would just throw polite praise Clark's way and move on. Boston took the moment to say, hey, this is great, but give us some space to figure it out. It's the honesty that hits hardest. Too often, athletes dodge questions about high-profile teammates. Boston leaned into it. She told the truth about how it feels. She admitted it hasn't been smooth from day one, and she made clear that yes, Clark is incredible, but the Fever are a team, not a one-woman show. And don't forget Boston's own journey. She's not someone who had an easy path. Growing up in St. Thomas, she had to fight just to play organized basketball. She played in co-ed leagues with barely any other girls. She trained outdoors under the blazing sun while kids in the U.S. practiced in air-conditioned gyms. That upbringing made her resilient. So when she talks about pressure and expectations, you know she's speaking from real experience. It's also funny to compare her words to how media spins stories. Headlines suggest drama between Boston and Clark, but listen to the podcast, and you realize she's not tearing Clark down at all. She's explaining the process, defending her journey, and even praising Clark's skills. It's far more balanced than the hot takes want you to believe. Part of why this podcast mattered is Sue Bird herself, not just a host, but a legend who understands playing with stars, managing expectations, and building chemistry. That made Boston comfortable opening up. You could hear the honesty in her voice. Zooming out, this interview isn't just about Boston and Clark. It's a bigger reflection on how we view athletes in the age of social media. Fans want instant storylines. They want instant success. They want highlight plays that confirm their biases. But real athletes, they are grinding, making mistakes, figuring things out. And when someone like Boston gives us that reality check, we should pay attention. Aliyah Boston's words about Caitlin Clark on Sue Bird's podcast didn't stop at chemistry and pressure. She kept peeling back the layers of what it really feels like to share the court with one of the most scrutinized rookies in sports history. The thing is, Caitlin isn't a rookie anymore, but the spotlight hasn't dimmed. It's only hotter. And Boston made it clear that being teammates with Clark means living inside that light, whether you want it or not. She spoke about how the outside noise made their first months together almost unbearable. Every turnover became a trending clip. Every misread play turned into a meme. And Boston admitted it tested her patience. But she also acknowledged something crucial. Those struggles are shaping her into a better player. Learning to play alongside a guard who moves at Clark's speed, who sees passing lanes others miss, forces Boston to elevate her own game. It's not just surviving the hype, it's matching the intensity it brings. And here's where she got even more real. She admitted social media criticism isn't easy to tune out. She's already her own harshest critic. So when faceless trolls pile on, it feels repetitive and draining. But instead of letting it crush her, she reframed it. She can either sink in negativity or use it as fuel. Her tone made it clear she's choosing the latter. That's maturity you don't always see in young stars. What stood out most is how Boston balanced critique with respect. She didn't dismiss Clark's hype as undeserved. She doubled down on praising Clark's vision and passing. She described moments when words or signals weren't needed. Just one glance from Clark tells her where to move. That's when you see, it's not jealousy, it's patience and growth. Boston knows the tools are there for something special. It's just going to take time. Sue Bird, who's played with superstars like Diana Taurasi and Brianna Stewart, clearly understood Boston's perspective. She nudged her to reflect on the bigger picture, and Boston's response was telling. She said the Fever benefit from Clark's spotlight because it lifts everyone. More fans, more cameras, more coverage. All of it means more opportunities for every teammate. But she also stressed the cost. Outsiders expecting flawless basketball every night. Boston's reminder was sharp. They are still building. Timing matters. The Fever aren't at the bottom like Boston's rookie season anymore. With Clark in the mix, they've pushed into playoff contention. Critics may dissect every possession, but Boston made it clear progress is real. It may not always show in flashy highlights, but it shows in wins, chemistry, and confidence. Boston also reflected on how her upbringing shaped the competitor she is. Growing up in St. Thomas, she lacked the luxuries American players have. Indoor gyms, endless travel circuits, elite trainers, she didn't have them. She played outdoors in heat, often in co-ed leagues where she was told not to embarrass the boys. That chip on her shoulder sharpened when she entered the WNBA. So when people call her the worst big they've ever seen, she laughs at the irony. The same toughness that got her here is exactly why she won't break under nonsense. If anything, Boston's words should make Fever fans optimistic. She's not hiding from Clark's shadow. She's stepping into it, standing beside it, making sure she's part of the bigger story. She made clear it's not Caitlin Clark's team alone. It's Indiana's team. And every player is adjusting, improving, pushing for something greater. That honesty hits harder than any empty cliche about trusting the process. By the end, you could hear Sue Bird's respect for Boston's candor. She wasn't hyping her teammate, nor tearing her down. She was truthful about challenges, growth, and the pressure of being linked to the biggest name in the league. And that balance, tough honesty mixed with genuine praise, is exactly why this interview stood out. Aliyah Boston laid it out without filters. She called out the pressure, explained the struggles, and showed respect for Caitlin Clark's game, all in one interview. No drama, just reality.